she will be presenting her thesis pre-submission seminar of her thesis titled Public Healthcare Expenditure, Infrastructure and Utilization, a Study of Indian States. So I think I will hand over to the director for the proceedings.
It's a very important day for Gujarati Institute of Finance and Taxation. We had in the first batch 4 scholars, and that particular batch went through difficult times which any other batch could match. When they joined here, there was no faculty as such. When they joined here, there was no coursework as such. Like all of you, they stayed outside, no difference. And that is the only similarity. Otherwise, they went through very hard. And again, we had COVID time. They had to survive that. Some of the next batch also had to do that. And I'm very happy that 3 of them by now submitted. And only person left behind was Ms. Aswthay. Aswthay joined job in between, and she had more difficulty than others. Her supervisors they are online. Dr. Zakaria is online. I welcome you, Zakaria. And he is now in Delhi, and he was in Delhi after he left the place. And second supervisor was in Nirma, so she had no in-house supervisor. Am I right? I'm always right. And unlike many others, and all the other batchmates, that gave her an opportunity. She went to Delhi, stayed with in Delhi and interacted with the supervisor, and I understand that. And he went to Ahmedabad and gave seminars in the respective places where they work. And I think this is a difficult. It's a difficulty in that sense, a difficulty, but at the same time, I understand that she has converted that challenge to an opportunity. And that is evident that despite her work, she was working, and despite her supervisor not being around, she has now. I mean, I was very concerned about her, but now she has come up with her. And I think you deserve a lot of appreciation for the persistence that you have shown, because very often when you get a job, because very often, what is the purpose of the PhD after all? For getting a job. So मैं तो मिला है PhD job कितनी कहीं इन्हीं इंदिने अंगने चिंतिका that you have not done that. That is that I think credit goes to you, and of course to your supervisors for I think I believe that with pressure things get cooked. Otherwise, if you put it in a vessel, boil rice, it will keep on boiling. But if you put in a pressure cooker, it will get cooked. So the pressure, I'm sure, it will have been given by your supervisors. Both of them are known for that. So I congratulate not only the student, also the supervisors, and I thank all of you for joining. So now I think you may have to say something. Oh, SAC. Okay, SAC, I think, yeah, we prefer this. You know that in GIFT we have preference for people online. Important people are online. And with the gray hair he adding.
This is times are like this, so we are in different places. But I think Aswthay gave her the best when she came to Delhi, and I think within a very short span of time, she accomplished a lot of data work there, and I think most of it that I can say, main edifice of the thesis was kind of. So she utilized her time. Of course, her supervisors were not in the campus, and because of that, it took some time for her to kind of, muster the courage to come all the way to Delhi. And when she came to Delhi, it was quite productive as far as I can gather. So, and of course, a commitment from Aswathi's side was very, obvious and very clear that despite all her difficulties in terms of health challenges that she faces, she she made so much of time so that she can utilize that time to, so this is really, she whatever she's doing, going to present today is obviously culmination of all the effort that she has done. And she has done she has gone through quite a bit. Initially, she was not able to get a supervisor from economics discipline. Then she kind of managed to get a supervisor, but then both the supervisors left. Uh, this is something that, but she continued, and we kind of kept supporting her at every stage. So, I'm really happy that she's here today at that stage where she can actually present pre-submission of her thesis. Well done, Ashwati.
Okay. I think my introductory remarks will be incomplete if I don't acknowledge the contribution of Professor B. Narayana. He was the former director, and also he has actually I know that he has put a lot of invested a lot of effort in grooming your in your research work. So okay, I think if you will say the final word. Okay, I'll just say a few words. Okay. Oh.
Good afternoon. I'm very happy to be back here. And like Sir told, Zakaria told, she has gone through a lot of challenges. She has to uh, for the job, and she was also starting her career like a fresh, right? She has to prepare a lot for the classes. She was hardly getting any time to devote to the thesis. Despite that, she never actually gave up. She's really a fighter in that sense. She never gave up. She said she was very committed that she must submit the thesis before the duration or whatever the university allows the time period. And that is why she was very sure that she should go to Delhi and have face-to-face interaction with Zakaria. And Zakaria was actually primarily working with her thesis because we are in different places. And kudos to Zakaria. And he has actually put in a lot of effort and guided Aswati very closely. And also, as Sir mentioned, also DN Sir, Narayana Sir, also he also deserves some credit, or initially he was also the supervisor. So I think I'm very happy that she's our first student, and my first student who is going to present the pre-submission seminar. Yeah, so even Zakaria also are very happy, and I'm really, yeah, sure. And so we are very happy, and I'm very appreciative of her work. Okay, because given the kind of challenges, see, we'll try to understand, we'll try to appreciate things when we know the context, what kind of challenges one has gone through to write a dissertation or a thesis. So in that way, she has done a commendable job. Yes, no thesis or no work is free from criticism. Okay, see, as you will see, there is always a scope for bettering, or as American perfectionist, right? I mean, we can do, but given the time and the constraint, at least I feel she has done a good job, and we must appreciate her hard work, her patience, her commitment. And with this, I wish you all the best for your pre-submission seminar, Aswati. All the best. Thank you.
Okay, over to you.
Thank you, sir, for your nice words. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thanks for being here. I'm here to present my PhD research titled Public Healthcare Expenditure, Infrastructure and Utilization, the Study of Indian States. As in the title, this thesis deals with the multifaceted issues of Indian health system, the healthcare expenditure, infrastructure, and utilization. So the thesis is structured like this, 8 sections. I'll begin with the background and motivation, then followed by literature review, research gaps. Then I will discuss the theoretical and conceptual framework, research questions and objectives. Then I will move to the 3 empirical chapters. And finally, I conclude with the policy implications and contributions. We know that health is important, but why we need to study health in India? We know that health is central to human development and also well-being, as in the constitution, and it's important. That is why it is also incorporated in the constitution. As per Article 21, the right to life, it explained that the right to live with dignity, it includes access to healthcare and medical service, and also directs the states in the directive principles of state policy. And Article 47, it is the duty of the states to provide good health to its people. So that's how the constitution also gave importance to the health sector, because they recognize the importance of healthcare, health of the people also. So in Indian case, since independence, we had made a significant progress in health indicators. Mainly, life expectancy has increased, and infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate have declined, and even fertility rate have reached its near replacement level. But compared to its counterparts and its neighboring countries, India still lag behind in many health indicators. And also, it continues to face many challenges like unequal access to healthcare and dual burden of diseases, that is communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases, and moreover high out-of-pocket expenditure and wide regional disparities across Indian states. Because when it comes to regional disparities of Indian states, we know that some states in India, like Kerala, are comparable to the most developed countries in the world. But there are, in the other spectrum, there are other states like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. They are more comparable to the more deprived countries in the world. Their health indicators are more comparable to the most deprived countries in the world, like Sub-Saharan Africa. You can have a look on the IMR, infant mortality rate, and of Sub-Saharan Africa and the state Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. The infant mortality rate is higher for Uttar Pradesh, that is 73, than the Sub-Saharan African in 2005 and even 2023. So there is wide interstate disparities in health indicators as well in our country. So this is the major challenges that we face in our country. So that's the central theme of this. That's what we are motivated to study health care in India. So when we look at the conceptual path, it is straightforward. As you have seen in the slide, it is straightforward that public health expenditure should have to translate to the public health infrastructure, like a physical health infrastructure and manpower, and it must ensure healthcare utilization, and ultimately it leads to health outcomes. But it is not just automatic. Public health expenditure will not translate to, it may not be able to translate to health infrastructure as easily, maybe because of the inefficiencies or governmental policies, or the absorptive capacity may be low. So it will not be translate very smoothly to health infrastructure. And also, availability of health infrastructure may not ensure there is utilization. So so it is not a simple track like to health infrastructure must provide higher utilization. This is not like that it will not ensure the utilization. So ultimately, the higher utilization, public health expenditure will not ensure that there is higher health outcome. So this is not automatic. So that is a central theme of our thesis, like how the public health expenditure is translated to infrastructure, and whether the infrastructure is ensuring the utilization whether it leads to improved health outcomes or not. So that's the central theme of our thesis. So when it comes to literature, there is three strands of literature in health literature, that is determinant of public health expenditure and health infrastructure, and finally healthcare utilization. There is large body of literature which talks about the determinants of public health expenditure in international level as well as in Indian level. A group of literature under determinants of public health expenditure which came to the conclusion that income is a major variable. But there are other strand of literature which talks like there are other factors like population aging and demographic and other institutional factors which also affects the health expenditure in any country. But the gap I find out is that the role of intergovernmental transfer is insufficiently examined, and there is limited evidence on the equalizing role of transfers in India. And the other strand of literature which discuss is that public health expenditure and health outcome and infrastructure. There are studies which talks about health expenditure and health outcome, but there are only few studies, only countable number of studies which links health expenditure and health infrastructure. Like most of the studies talks about how the expenditure improves the health outcome of the country, but the connecting factor or the health infrastructure is the intermediate between the health expenditure and outcome. So that linkage has not been widely recognized. So that's the gap I have found in the literature, that is the limited evidence on how public health expenditure is translated to public health infrastructure. And in the other strand of literature, that is in the healthcare utilization, there are studies which talks about what's a reason for like not utilizing government healthcare, and what motivates to utilize the healthcare system. But a limited study is also there for studying the integration of morbidity in it. Utilization of healthcare when we become sick, that aspect is not studied thoroughly. So we have taken that gap too, and also the multi-level approach that is rarely applied in the Indian healthcare studies. Overall, these studies have like these three stratum of literatures examines the health expenditure, infrastructure, outcome, utilization, everything in a separate dimensions. But there is a lack of integration on health expenditure translating to health infrastructure, and then encouraging utilization and leading to health outcomes. So that's what we studies in this thesis, the linkage that is missed in the literature. We are linking the health expenditure to infrastructure and utilization. So I have taken the Amartya Sen's capability approach to give the framework for this thesis. We know that Sen's capability approach, it discusses the development that should be evaluated by the expansion of human capitals, not merely economic terms. It should be development means the expansion of capabilities, and in terms of health, it is both a capability and also a function. That is, individuals should have the opportunity and freedom to access the healthcare and also maintain the good health. And this functioning, it means that achieved capabilities. It means the good health. So capability means the individuals should have that opportunity and freedom to access healthcare, should have that ability to access healthcare and maintain that good health. So functioning means that achievement of capabilities, that is achievement of good health, well-being. So in our thesis, we apply this capability approach. It means that I have putting the role of the state here. The role of the government is to enhance individuals' capabilities through public investment and public expenditure. So government here in the thesis, the government enhances healthcare capability or the capability of the people through public health expenditure. It means that it shows the priority of the government. So whatever the amount which is reserved for the healthcare sector, it shows the priority of the government in the budget, and also how resources are allocated equitably, and also the public health infrastructure, whether if the government is providing the physical and health infrastructure and manpower to the government and supply the infrastructure, it means that government is trying to prioritizing the healthcare and trying to make the people capable to reach the healthcare when they become sick. And access and utilization, this capability is only realized when mere expenditure and health infrastructure does not generate the utilization of healthcare. It need health awareness to the people, and also it needs the accessibility to the buildings like resources, infrastructure. So access and capability is only realized when individuals can actually access and utilize healthcare services when they become sick. So if we are sick, we need an institution within the proximity of 7 kilometers to access. If an institution is very far from our where we staying, that we will not be access to that institute. So we need that capability to access that institute when we sick. So this is how I apply the capability approach in the thesis. So conceptual framework of the study. Public health expenditure, it does not mean, not merely depends on the economic capacity of the states. There's an influence of intergovernmental transfers too. We know that transfers are two types, like we have general purpose and specific purpose transfers, and this will affect the health expenditure of each states too. So there is a role of intergovernmental transfer in public health expenditure. We are studying that, and this public health expenditure, as I said, that it's translate to health infrastructure. If the expenditure is that efficient, then it will translate to infrastructure like physical infrastructure and manpower. And also it will generate, if we give more awareness to the people about using the infrastructure when we see, then the public health utilization, public healthcare utilization will also be increased, and it ultimately leads to the improved health outcomes. This also influenced by the fiscal capacity of the states, and also the states' own priorities towards health, because public health expenditure is a combination of state government's expenditure and also central government's expenditure. States also have to give the state priorities towards healthcare, and of course there is governance and institutional capacities which influence the healthcare. And there are other socioeconomic factors like education and knowledge and the geographical condition, which all affects this spending pattern and infrastructure and even the accessibility. These socioeconomic factors also influences these things. So we have four key research questions. First question is about what shapes the public health care expenditure in India. What determines the public health expenditure in India? Does the intergovernmental transfers equalize the public health expenditure in Indian states or not? And third one is how effective is public health expenditure in improving the health infrastructure? And last one is why do some states have higher level of morbidity than others, despite its health outcome is being far better than others? Like Kerala having high morbidity but low mortality, but the states like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh having low morbidity but high mortality. Why this is so? So these are the research questions we are undertaken, and we have three objectives. First one is to analyze the impact of intergovernmental transfers on the interstate variation in public healthcare expenditure. Second one, to examine the efficacy of public healthcare expenditure in translating to public health infrastructure in Indian states. And third one, to measure the effectiveness of public health infrastructure by contextualizing utilization under morbidity perspectives. The chapter is outlined as like this, followed by the introduction. The next three chapters, second, third, and fourth, is the core chapters. And the last one I summarize and the policy implications. So this is the first core chapter, intergovernmental transfer and its impact on public healthcare expenditure across Indian states. We know that India is a quasi-federal nation, and Indian Constitution, under Indian Constitution, health is in the state list, is a state subject, and the taxation powers are vested with the central government, and expenditure responsibilities are more with the state government, since it's a state subject. And we also know that the fiscal capacity of each states are varies across. Like I already said that there is higher interstate variation in the health indicators, same as that we have interstate differences in fiscal capacity. So we have like a horizontal and fiscal imbalances too. So this is corrected through intergovernmental transfers. That tax assignments and grantinates are through Finance Commission, channeled through Finance Commission, and the centrally sponsored schemes, which are channeled through central government or the union government. So the central question or central theme of this chapter is, can intergovernmental transfer reduce inequality in public health expenditure or not? So we focus the study period of this chapter is from 2005 to 2019. We have taken 16 major Indian states, and the data are from public health expenditure data at state level, which is from resources from EPWR of India time series and RBI and Finance Account, just to cross check, and public health expenditure, which contains medical and public health and family welfare, and it contains both revenue and capital expenditure, and population data, government total expenditure, and gross state domestic product are from EPWR of India time series. So we are considering 16 major Indian states based on their share in the total population and also their share in the GSDP. So to understand the intergovernmental effect of intergovernmental transfer in equalizing the public health care expenditure in Indian states, we have decomposed the per capita public health expenditure into three components. First one is the share of public health expenditure in total budgetary expenditure, government total expenditure. It shows it is a sector specific transfer. It shows the priority of the states towards the healthcare in their total budget. So the first decomposition is on the shows the priority of the health in the total budgetary, and the second one, GTE, it means that government total expenditure as a share of GSDP, which shows the general purpose transfer. It means that their total budgetary expenditure in GSDP. And last one, the size of the economy shown using in the per capita GSDP. We express it in growth terms, and we know that the general purpose transfer and fiscal capacity channel, I'm just for the GTE by GSTP, it shows the general purpose transfer. It means that if it is higher, it means that it will enhance the capacity to increase the public health expenditure. And PHE by GTE, it means that sector specific transfer. It means how much priority a state government is given to the healthcare. So if we provide more sector specific transfers, it will increase the ultimately it will leads to good healthcare and greater priority to the healthcare in the states. So I'll jump into the growth pattern, which is so we express it in the growth format, this decomposition, that per capita public health expenditure is a combination of the sector specific and general purpose transfer and the size of the economy. So I'm just showing the whole result in just one table. So I'm dividing the period into 2005 to 2013 and 2013 to 19. The bold letters, which are the poor states, Assam, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and Bengal. When we compare these two periods, what we can see that most of the states are giving priority to the healthcare. As you have seen, Bihar, the PHE by GT, it means that the health priority towards the healthcare. It was negative value in the the first period, but it have been increased to 5.8 seats. And the same trend has been seen in Assam. It is 3.4 and it have been increased to 3.87. And so overall, what we have seen that the poor states are also prioritizing for healthcare. But look at their per capita income, that is the size of the economy. It has been reducing in the second period. So it means that the poor states are also prioritizing for the healthcare. It is because of their low GSTP, low per capita income. It is not, that's why it's not reflecting in their per capita public health expenditure. The per capita public health expenditure is lower. It's not because they are not prioritizing for healthcare, but because of their low GSTP. Even you can see the high income states like Maharashtra. For example, they may not be, because they may have an initial base, that's maybe the reason. Their health share, like their health priority is 2.2 seats in 2015-13. I'm talking about the Maharashtra. But in 2013-19, the health priority have been reduced. You can see that in many states, even in Karnataka, it was 2.51, but it is reduced to minus 0.01. It means that poor states which are all trying and prioritizing for the healthcare. Their developed states may not, it is not because they are not prioritizing, they already have an initial base. So they don't need to invest more on the healthcare. But when we talk about the poor states, they need the more fiscal capacity to promote the per capita public health expenditure. So that's how I conclude that intergovernmental transfer improve the fiscal space of several low-income states. Also, intergovernmental transfer helps to equalize the public health expenditure, but it will not be happening because the per capita income of the states are not rising. It is having reducing over the years. So when we want to equalize the intergovernmental transfers, when we equalize the public health expenditure in states, so government need to prioritize for their fiscal capacity, need to increase the per capita income of the states to equalize the health expenditure in the states. Moving to the second core chapter, public health expenditure and the size and quality of health system in India. We know that there are studies which talks about public health expenditure and health outcome, but there is only a few studies which links the health expenditure and infrastructure. For example, like studies like Baru and Das, only a countable number of studies which deals about links the health expenditure to infrastructure. Health infrastructure includes the physical health infrastructure as well as the manpower. Physical health infrastructure means the hospitals and government hospitals, primary health centers, community health centers, and manpower, of course, the doctors, nurses, and also health infrastructure as a whole means both physical health infrastructure and manpower. So the key question examined in this chapter is whether higher public health expenditure is promoting or developing to public health infrastructure across Indian states or not. I have taken the infrastructure data from Rural Health Statistics Report, PWRF, and also in India Stat. And the study period was 2005 to 2020. In the previous chapter, it was 2019 because the public health expenditure may seen rise due to COVID period. So in the previous chapter, I omitted 2020. So, but here I incorporated 2022. I considered 16 major Indian states and classified it as major and minor states as well as high focus and low focus states as did in the National Health Mission classification. And the high focus states include Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, and Himachal Pradesh, and the others comes in the category of low focus states. Here also I done a decomposition analysis. The per capita public health infrastructure is decomposed into two. One is the share of public health infrastructure in the expenditure and the per capita public health expenditure. The PHI by PHE, that is the share of public health infrastructure in the expenditure, shows the effectiveness with which health expenditure is translated to health infrastructure, and the per capita public health expenditure, which shows the absolute size of expenditure which is adjusted for population. This is, here also we express it in the growth terms. So, and for getting an health infrastructure, because health infrastructure include both physical and in physical health infrastructure and manpower. To combine them, we created a composite public health infrastructure index by combining both these physical health infrastructure and manpower. During 2005 to 20 time period, I have used geometric mean method for aggregation, because it captures the multidimensional nature of health infrastructure and also penalizes any imbalances occurred between the components. So unlike arithmetic mean, so that's why I choose geometric mean. And these all indicators are normalized before aggregation to ensure the comparability across different units and scales. And I have created 3 indices. One is for overall public health infrastructure and physical health infrastructure, and third one health manpower infrastructure indices. This helps to understand the relationship between health expenditure and health infrastructure. So the construction of index, the selection of indicators are mainly based on the availability of data. We face the problem, we face the availability of data. For many indicators, there is no data for that. There is missing values, and also I have taken the data which are available. So I had on around 8 variables, like number of primary health centers, community health centers, sub-centers, government hospital beds, allopathic doctors, auxiliary nurse midwives, registered nurses, and registered midwives. So I have taken care of both physical and physical health infrastructure and manpower data based on their availability. And the value of selected indicators are normalized and aggregated using geometric mean approach and normalized using the minimax approach. And since it's a stock variable, we have taken the changes over the years too. And we have assigned weight. The weights are assigned based on their importance. Public health, I gave more weight to those variables which are considered as a first point of contact, like public health centers, community health centers, sub-centers, and auxiliary nurse midwives. They were called the first point of contact to the people. So that's why I gave assigned higher weight for these variables. And I also tried giving same weights to these variables. So for here, for the purpose of analysis, I give more weights to these variables which are close to the people. And as I said, I used geometric mean method by taking the exponential of the weighted averages of the logarithms of normalized component value, and I added a small constant to avoid the log zero issues. So as I already said, we are using a decomposition analysis. That per capita public health infrastructure is decomposed into 2: public health infrastructure as a share of expenditure, and and the per capita health expenditure. So the first component shows the efficiency of health expenditure, and the other the per capita. So when I combined the whole results, this first graph shows the overall public health infrastructure index, and per capita. The first panel shows the per capita public health expenditure, and the second panel shows the efficiency, that is public health infrastructure as a share of public health expenditure, and the third one shows the per capita public health infrastructure. So what we allege that public health infrastructure is rising for both high focus and low focus states, and it is not because that health expenditure is efficiently translated to health infrastructure. It is because of the per capita public health expenditure, the per capita public health infrastructure is rising. So from this graph, we came to know that the efficiency is not there. Like efficiency here, it means that how properly the expenditure is translating to the infrastructure. So it is almost stagnant for both high focus and low focus states. So the growth in health infrastructure was mainly expenditure driven rather than the efficiency driven. That's what we concluded from the overall public health infrastructure index. But it is same for the physical health infrastructure as well as the manpower. The same result have been seen in the when we do the analysis using the physical health infrastructure only. We can see that the expenditure is not translating to physical health infrastructure, but the physical health infrastructure is showing a rise because it's not because this expenditure is efficient, but because the per capita public health expenditure. This is also expenditure led rather than efficiency led. It is same for both high focus and low focus states. And same, even in manpower also, there is a slight difference, but per capita, no, here also the same difference, like in the overall overall public health infrastructure and the physical health infrastructure. In manpower too, it is expenditure driven, not the efficiency led. If you want the efficiency led more, the problem with the manpower is that more absenteeism, that was shown in the literature too. Absenteeism and recruitment delays, and many hospitals don't have any doctors too. So that's the main problem Indian health system is facing. So what I would like to conclude that the expenditure, public health expenditure is not efficiently translating to health infrastructure, but since the per capita health expenditure is higher, that's the reason why per capita public health infrastructure is having rising. It is not efficiency led. It means that expenditure is not translating to infrastructure. It is because of the per capita public health expenditure. The public and we that's the reason why the infrastructure, per capita infrastructure, is showing rise or increase. So what the results suggest that the increasing spending is not only sufficient. Like timely implementation and improved workforce planning and equitable distribution of resources are also essential for improving the health infrastructure. Moving to the next chapter. Measuring the effectiveness of public health infrastructure, contextualizing utilization under morbidity perspectives. We know that mere availability of infrastructure does not ensure that there is utilization. There are many factors which leads to utilization. Just supplying infrastructure doesn't mean that people will demand for healthcare. So demand for healthcare require health awareness and education, and there are many other factors which leads to utilization. That's the reason why some states reports like for states like Kerala having higher morbidity, and there are other states like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, they are having low morbidity and low mortality, low morbidity and high mortality. So why this is so? That's the research question that we have taken up here. So we are analyzing the utilization under morbidity context. Here we are using both 71st and 75th round on NSS 71st and 75th round on social consumption and health. So we are using a 3-level multi-level logistic regression model with random intercept is employed. Because we choose multi-level logistic regression because to account for the hierarchical structure of the data and for clustering of individuals within villages and states, and measures contextual effects beyond individual characteristics, that and also to identify geographical inequalities in healthcare utilization. So that's why we choose multi-level logistic regression model. So the hierarchical structure is like this. Level 1, we have individuals, which captures individual characteristics such as age, gender, education, income, morbidity, and factors. And level 2, we are taking FSUs. It means village. It captures local level variation, if any, like issues like accessibility to healthcare and availability and accessibility of healthcare services and other community level factors. And the third level, which is of states, it captures broader differences in health infrastructure, healthcare policies, and regional disparities. States are different in their policies, so that may also affect the healthcare. So the third level is states. So the model accounts for unobserved heterogeneity at both FSUs and state levels. It provides more reliable estimates of healthcare utilization. Sorry, guys, I have some issues.
Breathing.
So here we captures healthcare utilization. It's a binary indicator. It means that the probability of seeking healthcare when we become ill, when we feel sick. So that's what we measure here. That is utilizing healthcare when we sick. So the independent variables I have chosen is monthly per capita consumption expenditure, sector, rural, urban, and social groups, CST, OBC, and general, and religion as well, and gender, education groups, and insurance status for analyzing the data. And all covariates are treated as the categorical factors except for MPCE. So this is the econometric specification. So I have made some descriptive analysis before going to doing the econometric specification to understand the level of care of treatment and like in both understanding the socioeconomic factors. So if like how many of are choosing the level of care, whether prefer for government hospitals or private hospitals. So I'm looking at this perspective among the quintile classes, MPCU quintile, and also regional voices and social group voice. So this figure shows the level of care of treatment under medical advices for both government. Level of care means non-government and government. The gray color represents the non-government and blue represents the government. It shows that 70% of the population is using non-government healthcare facilities, and only in urban area only 26% are choosing the government, and the rest is choosing the non-governmental health facilities. This is the same as in like by even in the sector wise. We have seen that at state level too, the government hospitals, preference for the utilization of government hospitals are lower except for Himachal Pradesh and Odisha. And for states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, the utilization of government hospitals are higher for rural areas. And these states are also, and there are states like poor states like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, both in rural and urban area, the utilization of government hospitals are much lower. And these states are also having, as seen before, are a shortage of government health facilities. So even in social group wise also, the like it shows that the utilization is highest for scheduled tribes and OBC, scheduled tribes than the OBC and the general. So it means that the preference for the non-governmental health facilities in India, which is higher for the general category and OBC groups. And in income wise utilization too, in the top quintile which prefers for non-governmental health facilities as in before, like, and in lower quintile groups which are prefers government hospitals, but the difference is very narrow. And when we look at the self-reported ailment of by state, self-reported ailment means that people reports to the hospital when they feel sick. So it means that self-reported morbidity, it's declined across all states between both 71st and 75th round. That's how it why it's negative values. And as seen in the table, Kerala is continued to report highest morbidity, and Assam and Bihar, which show lower morbidity in both the time period. So it reflects the perception, health perception, and the reporting behavior, and also the disease awareness. And this table shows the seeking treatment when illness occurs. The previous table means that people feel that people report that they are sick, and here it means that they were seeking treatment when illness occurs. So treating segment is high in most states, exceeding 90%, as you have seen in the table, both for rural and urban areas. But it is higher for the states like Kerala, Haryana, Tamil Nadu, and Punjab. But there is substantial interstate disparities persist, like Bihar and Assam is reporting lowest treatment and in both rural and urban area. And urban areas are also generally shows higher treatment seeking than the rural areas. It indicates that there is accessibility issues and the availability of healthcare. So when we do the econometric specification, this table shows the model fit statistics for both the 71st and 75th round. This result indicates that the local contextual factors, that is the village level, as we mentioned in the earlier, that level 1, which is individual level, which are shows the respondent characteristics like aging, morbidity, like in that individual factors. So it shows that became more, this village effect is become more important over time in explaining healthcare utilization. So even after controlling for socioeconomic factors, place of residence also continues to influence ailments, reporting, and healthcare utilization. And this table shows the comparative estimates of key predictors across NSS rounds. So this shows that comparing the 71st and 75th round, it shows that income effect, log MPC, it shows the economic status. It have been, actually income effect is have been disappeared. It has positive values in the 71st round. It has declined and came into a negative value. So it means that there is no income effect for seeking healthcare, utilizing healthcare when sick. So income is not a major factor, but the urban-rural gap, here we are taking rural as base. So urban-rural gap is also widened from 0.283 to become 0.56. And when we look at the caste base, like scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and other backward castes, we are taking general category as base. Here also that caste disparities also disappeared caste is not a dominant factor in seeking healthcare. And when we look at the gender, like female gender gap have been increased, and religious factors, other religion like Muslims, I'm taking Hindu as a base, and Muslims and other religions, and it shows that religious disparity is there. That's a major factor for seeking healthcare. And after 2000, the period 2005 is important because many health policies have been implemented during this period. So this insurance became a more important even in the both the two rounds, and it had been increased in the later period. So when we look at the state level random effects in 71st and 75th round, I'm comparing both these rounds. The state level random effects reveal substantial interstate variation in healthcare utilization. As we have seen that Kerala remained the best performing states in both the rounds, in both the period 2014 and 2017 period. Kerala remained in the best performing states, and West Bengal and West Bengal also, but West Bengal, Himachal Pradesh, and Odisha, Maharashtra is also showed notable improvements. But Tamil Nadu, it was in the second position in the 71st round, it's dropped. So it means that the states, even the developed states like Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Gujarat, they are also declined in relative performance in the utilization of healthcare when still sick. So, but the poorer states like Bihar, Bihar and Assam, like their utilization pattern is lower even in both the rounds. It means that health awareness, this is a problem of health awareness. So mere availability of health infrastructure is not sufficient. We need more health awareness. We need to give awareness to people that to use the healthcare when they become sick. So that's the one reason why the demand for healthcare is demand for primary health centers and community health centers are lower for those states, because the primary health centers, community health centers are very low in those states, but they demand for the tertiary healthcare sectors like AIMS, medical college. The demand for such institutes are higher for these days. This is because they seek healthcare when they meet at the death point. So they demand more for the tertiary healthcare than the primary health centers. So I would like to conclude this chapter as there is significant heterogeneity across Indian states in terms of public healthcare utilization, even after controlling for individual and household level factors. And the magnitude and direction of change from 2014 to 2017, like 71st to 75th round, suggests that some states have deepened their public health commitments. Like, for example, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, West Bengal, Himachal Pradesh, these states stand in the top in both the periods. But other states, like the developed states like Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, and the poor states of Bihar, this may require policy attention to reverse decline. And so health utilization in India is strongly influenced by state context. It highlights the need for state-specific policies, not a uniform national approach. We need a state-specific policies to cater this issue. So I summarize these three chapters. So despite substantial growth in, here what I'm doing is I'm linking the health expenditure to infrastructure and to utilization. So it is not a smooth flow then. Health expenditure will not translate to health infrastructure, and the mere availability of health infrastructure is not showing the greater utilization of healthcare in our country. So, and also the when we talk about the health expenditure in the state variation in the health expenditure, it is largely driven by economic and physical capacity. So states like poor states like Uttar Pradesh and Bihar and the Madhya Pradesh, they were also prioritizing for healthcare, but since their GSTP per capita GSTP is lower, it is that's why it's not showing in their per capita public health expenditure. Those states are also prioritizing for healthcare. So what we need is to take policies, state specific policies to improve their per capita GSTP, and of course increased public health spending, which will contribute to expansion of infrastructure across states, but it is not in that smooth way. We have seen from the result that efficiency of translating expenditure to infrastructure is not there, since per capita public health expenditure is higher. That is why it's showing a higher infrastructure. It doesn't mean that expenditure is efficiently translating to health infrastructure. And there is also a significant disparities in the utilization of health care across regions and social groups, but there is also differences observed in the place of by place of residence, gender, religion, insurance cover, and the state of residence too. So these findings demonstrate that health outcomes are shaped by interconnected pathway of health financing, health expenditure, then infrastructure development, and healthcare utilization. So we have to give the emphasis on both resource availability and also the institutional effectiveness. So the policy implication is like we need like increase targeted health in transfers and grants to fiscally weaker states to reduce these state disparities in public health expenditure, to consider to increase their GSTP first, so that will reflect in their per capita public health expenditure, because they have this two pressure, like a GSTP pressure and also the population pressure. And we also need to expand this health workforce capacity, health manpower capacity. The problem is with absenteeism. If you go to any hospitals, even in Kerala, we haven't seen in rural area, in remote area, we cannot see many doctors and nurses in regular time period. So the absenteeism, we also capture that absenteeism also. So and also we need to adopt a state specific and regional specific health policies instead of a uniform national approach, because Indian states are different. That's the beauty of the country too. But we need a state specific policies instead of a nationwide approach. And also to promote equitable healthcare accesses by giving more health awareness, because people don't know that they need to approach healthcare when they become sick. So that's the reason why that poor states, trend wise, those poor states like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, that's why they are all called Bimaru states too, because they don't know that how to approach healthcare institutes when they become sick. They approach healthcare institutes only when they face at that point. So their demands for the tertiary healthcare. We need primary health centers and community health centers. So we need to provide that first unit health institutes. So if there is a health institution nearby, then automatically we will give priority to healthcare. We will seek healthcare when we become sick. So it is more important to give health awareness to the people. So this is actually the missing link in the health literature, is that literature are discussing the health topics in different dimensions and separately, but here we link health expenditure to infrastructure and to utilization. And we also using the state level and individual level data, and combines the both decomposition analysis and multi-level modeling techniques for analyzing the health disparities from the macro perspective and ending with the micro perspectives. And it also captures the individual influence of individual, local and state level factors which affects the healthcare utilization. And it contributes to the literature on healthcare inequality by demonstrating how financial resources, institutional capacity, and social economic factors shapes the healthcare outcomes in our country. So that's all about my thesis. Thank you so much.
Okay. You have heard the 8th pre-submission, PhD pre-submission presentation in the institute. As like your predecessors, the presentation was analytically and empirically very rich, perceiving a problem of much relevance, both for theory and practice, filled with hard work and passion. I think you have made a wonderful presentation in terms of exploring an issue in the realm of public expenditure with focus on public health. You explored three important dimensions, and individually and collectively, they gave insights, which in a country like ours is very, very, very important. I'm not going to elaborate. We are living in a country where we have got one tax, one food, one fiscal deficit, one what is called revenue deficit, one everything. So you are asking for realizing that our country is indeed one, but within country there are variations that needs to be understood properly and appropriately articulated policy framework in the case of health as well. I think I'm not going to elaborate on each of your, I think the overall in terms of you arguing that expenditure is necessary, but not sufficient for building infrastructure. Infrastructure is necessary, but not sufficient for its utilization. And at all levels, I think the details, I'm sure your colleagues and friends assembled here will be asking a lot of questions, because I know you are having a lot of friends here. If you have no friends, no questions. If you have good friends, you'll have a lot of questions. And the more the questions, better off we are today. The lesser the questions, we are worse off. And if you like her, if you are friendly with her, you should ask questions. Otherwise, am I right? That is our theory. Unlike in other places. Okay, I think the floor is now open. Be very brief and ask your questions, comments, suggestions, etc., etc. You want to start with expenditure pillar head? No. Pardon? Colleagues. Oh, right. You are more democratic. I forgot. Sorry. Students first. Particularly, no batchmates are available here. Any of your batchmates are there? They are available online. Okay. Batchmates are available online. I think your closest friends will be from the first batch. And
Lakshmi is there. Lakshmi is there.
Unfortunately, Lakshmi is there for. Aisha, are you there? You left by now. So
no, Aisha is not
very
there.
friendly with you. Lakshmi, hello. So you can tell you will have an opportunity to talk about your friend and her thesis now. Don't think that you will get another opportunity. I think she just signed in and left, I suppose. Okay, now I think the next batch. George and only George. Oh, others have submitted. Oh my God. Okay.
It's a nice presentation, and congratulations for your hard work. I know what are the things you are going through. 2-3 small things. I didn't get why you are bifurcating this time period into different 2005 to 13 and 13 to 19. You didn't detail it much, and in the coming chapters also you said regarding that, and about the growth rate tables, you have to elaborate something more because I didn't get what actually the table is saying. I find some numbers, but I didn't get what this actually means because it's growth rates and sometimes there are some negative, and you are saying it's per capita, per capita, per capita, and some minus figures are there, negative figures are there. So I got confused over there. So these are the two things which I have to.
I think now the option goes to the next batch. Ashkar.
Congratulations, Aswthay. I just have one question, like regarding your first core chapter, that is determinants of public expenditure. So why a decomposition method? Because in literature, there are a number of factors like institutional factors, demographic factors, and economic factors and all. Here you have taken only 2-3 factors, that is mainly economic and fiscal factors, and you're saying these are the determinants. Why not advanced other methods where you can include a lot of institutional and political factors, where there are advanced methods and literature? So why don't you have used that, I mean, that measures?
Okay.
Congratulations, Stacey, for the presentation. So I have a clarificatory question. So in the third chapter, you have looked into the utilization and you found that income has no effect, right? But in the descriptive statistics, when you showed that bifurcated into government and non-government, the most of the population relies on the non-governmental option. So why do you think that there is no income effect on the utilization?
Gopika, shall we go to right side? Gopika is waiting.
First of all, congratulations to your pre-submission presentations. So just one clarificatory question, like in your second objective and your conclusion is like that public infrastructure is driven by per capita expenditure, not by efficiency. Are you actually treating expenditure and efficiency as two different things?
I'll start with George's comment. Thank you. I have taken the time period, 2 time periods. One is based on, I will start with why I have taken the 2005 to 2020. 2000, there is a National Commission of Macroeconomics and Health. So that was actually an instruction given by the WHO to that every nation have to constitute a national commission for macroeconomics and health to because the target was to it is also based on the like multidimensional index like all countries have to achieve good health and have to spend more on healthcare, give priority to the healthcare. So they constituted a National Commission of Macroeconomics and Health. India also constituted such a commission. And you can see that much of the policies have came only after this 2004-5 period. And 2005, we there came National Rural Health Mission, and we have RSBY, Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, and later on we in the next government we have like Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana have been implemented. That was implemented on 2005 too, and we have Ayushman Bharat program. So all these programs has came after this 2005. So the state government have been giving prioritized for healthcare during this time period. They have taken till 2000. For one first chapter, I have taken the time period till 2019 because we know that there is COVID. So only after this COVID pandemic came, states are recognizing that we need to spend more on healthcare. So that point of time, health expenditure have been raised. And also So if we take the data in 2020 or afterwards also, like during that COVID period, it may reflect in the reflect like there is a hype in the expenditure. So that is why in that chapter I have taken that period from 2005 to 2019, and then the other chapter I had taken included this 2020 also, because the infrastructure is a stock variable actually. So it will not reflect much even if you take the COVID period. So that's why I have taken 2000, included 2020 also. So I divided this period into two. One reason, the Finance Commission. It is a Finance Commission period. It's like 14th Finance Commission in the later stage, right? And also there is a political ground, because we have two ruling parties in this time period. First, the UPA government till 2014, and from 2014 onwards, we have NDA government. So the priorities of these two parties are different. So that is why we can see the changes too. That in the first period, whether they prioritize it for healthcare, the previous government. In the next, from the result itself, if we divide the time period into two, we can see that the differences that like different political parties have taken, whether they taken care of the healthcare or not. We have seen the priorities of healthcare in these two periods. So that is why I have divided these time periods into two. One, the Finance Commission period, then the second, on the political ground. Like it is a two periods and two different political parties. And I have also presented a paper here, which came as a discussion paper here. So in that also I reflected these things at the political ground, whether they prioritize for healthcare in the budget or not. So in the growth table, I understand. So in the Viva, I will take care of that. And for Ashkar,
Approach. Don't try to solve all the problems here.
this decomposition, we can solve the I decomposed the per capita public health care expenditure into three components. In the literature, it is like there are many factors. Even you have done a paper on this determinant of public health care expenditure. I know that you have taken many variables, even the political variables. In Indian studies, that political variable is a important component that may affect the healthcare expenditure. But we slightly deviated from the traditional method of doing analyzing the determinants of public healthcare expenditure. Here we just simply just decomposed the things, like we just want to know that whether the sector specific or the central general purpose or the per capita which determine the healthcare expenditure. So we just slightly move it from that traditional way of doing the regression, or like that we just use a decomposition analysis and simply like analyze it, the question whether the intergovernmental transfer equalizes the health expenditure or not. And income effect. Even in the descriptive, Atira, your question, income effect is not showing a big effect. It's not showing a significant effect. It is because even in the descriptive statistics, we have seen that there is no difference even in different quintile classes. There's only a slight differences between each quintile. Mostly preference for government hospitals are lower. And here we are just analyzing whether utilizing government health care when they feel sick. So even in the previous descriptive statistics, we are treating like whether they utilized healthcare or not, government healthcare, like their trend, like in the quintile classes, whether they utilized government hospitals or non-governmental. So even in that specific graph, there is only a marginal differences between each quintiles. So here we are analyzing the utilization of healthcare when they feel sick, the government healthcare, of course. So even in the descriptive statistics, we have seen that there's only a marginal differences between each quintile classes. So that's actually reflected here. There's only a marginal difference. So that's the why that may be the reason why the effect is lower. And expenditure and efficiency are two. Gopika, you asked expenditure and efficiency. Are they two? I'm just looking at. I'm just not taking that efficiency in that ground. I'm taking that efficiency as like whether the expenditure is moving towards, it's targeting to infrastructure or not. Whether it's whatever we are spending now, whether it move to infrastructure or not, or they're going to any other like parts of healthcare. So what we needed that this is infrastructure is a linkage between expenditure and outcome. So infrastructure is it's like a vein in our body. So that's how our blood flows now. So expenditure, this have to like if you want better utilization, better access to healthcare, we need this and infrastructure thing. So efficiency here, I'm using that particular word just like translating or like expenditure, whether it's translating good enough to infrastructure or not. So that's why I use that word here. It's not like that's what I'm looking here.
So, Aswthay, just one thing that relation to Athira's question, can't you frame it in such a way that the selection of healthcare at times it's irrespective of your income? Simply saying, your income level may not matter when you are sick. You may go to even private hospital even if you are, say, in the bottom quintile or top quintile or median wherever. Can't you look like that? I mean, this is just a random question I'm placing at you. Just think about it. And often we see that in general cases, respective of income, you may access private healthcare. You may borrow, or I mean, you may find that money somehow. That's it.
Aswthay, all hats off to your hard work. I know how difficult it is to balance your work with the PhD, ambition. So anyway, you have done that, and you are at the end of the tunnel almost. But few clarification or as well as suggestions. You may take it as suggestions only. You may even not to have answered all the questions, but then like some primary concerns. When you deal with the expenditure, the first thing, and especially when you are linking expenditure with infrastructure, the first question which comes to your mind is what category of expenditure you are dealing with, your revenue expenditure or capital expenditure? Because I could see that you are dealing with aggregate expenditure. So how are you going to justify that one? Second thing is about, like in connection with Ashkar's question about the decomposition part, because the literature backing is very much important, I feel, in the first place, when you're decomposing this kind of an expenditure. Second thing is about, okay, even if you're conceptually doing it, is it an additive decomposition? So what strategy you are following that you have to specify, and whether it adds up to 100, I mean, like percentage. That also, I think you need an explanation, basically, with respect to that. Third thing is about when you deal with the infrastructure, and you mentioned a bifurcation about the physical infrastructure and the health manpower infrastructure. So whether how this expenditure is linking to physical infrastructure and manpower health infrastructure, you have to have a bifurcation if you are dealing it that way. Especially with respect to, I could see that all discussions or explanations were related to manpower health infrastructure. So basically, you have to show what is the deficit, existing deficit, and how it can effectively link to your expenditure part. Then about the modeling part, like at least for the reporting of the results, you should have a better clarity on what you're reporting there. Is it a marginal effect? or what is exactly that you are reporting. That was not coming up in the reporting part of it. Then related to the sign of the coefficient, she has already mentioned it. And when it comes to the 75th round, I could see that log of marginal consumption expenditure, per capita consumption expenditure, it is negative. So how do you justify it? When increase in income, do you, lessen the probability of accessing the healthcare? So how do you explain that result? Then you had a classification of different kinds of religious categories, right? So why don't you, put together, because, instead of highlighting one particular category, why don't you put together religious minorities, something like that? So that would be more palatable for, general audience. Yeah. So these are the basic comments on this. Otherwise, all the very best. Thank you.
Very good. Yeah. Now, yeah.
Aswthay, nice presentation, and you have covered a lot of things in the presentation. I have few clarificatory questions, and some of the questions already raised by some of the students. The first is regarding the efficiency. That second part is about infrastructure to health expenditure. So it's actually the proportion of infrastructure index to expenditure, size of the infrastructure that you are talking about, and you refer it as an efficiency. So I didn't get, like, how do you say that efficiency, the size to efficiency? So some clarification is required there. And another thing is that the uh, low utilization that you have, state-wise utilization data you have provided on public and private, and you find that it's a common trend among all the states that low utilization, except some states, low utilization in the public expenditure by some of the states. So that can also be due to the low infrastructure. So when they have the facility, they may be using it. For the number of, for that matter, it can be the number of PHSCs available. And as far as my knowledge is concerned, I feel that in states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, they have many PHSCs in rural areas and even in the urban areas, right? So that may not be the case with, in the similar way, the other infrastructure indices to the other states. So it can be also due to the low infrastructure. That it is not the people's choice, I feel. It's not, it will be the non-availability of the infrastructure may be leading them to not use of the public in hospitals. And other is regarding the like your results about the income effect. And I feel that if you, I don't know whether you have taken care in the model separately for private and public hospital, because yeah, to see the income effect. So that is the thing. Yeah. So somewhere I feel infrastructure. So your first two things, two objectives are well connected. Expenditure to infrastructure, but infrastructure to utilization, I feel some more thing, maybe the yeah. So some lag also will be there, right? The infrastructure to utilize, even expenditure to infrastructure as well as infrastructure to utilization. So it's not somehow, like that link is not that much clear. So, and also the infrastructure indices, the index that you have used, and some reference to the existing literature would be good. So you have constructed an index. Is it based on the existing index? What is your addition on to that? For our, it may be there, but for our knowledge, it could be better. So that's all. Otherwise, that's good.
Thanks for your valuable comments, madam. I will incorporate that. And yeah. this log MPC is negative, it may be because I'm considering only the government health infrastructure. So that may be the reason why it have a negative impact. I will check that again. And of course, I will consider that even when I present that, I feel difficult to say that scheduled tribe, scheduled caste again and again, the backward caste. It's wrong actually. I understand. So this is a good suggestion. I'll use the religious minorities. And the word efficiency I'm using just like as I said earlier, the meaning I'm here considering as it is whether it is translating in a good manner to infrastructure or not. So that's it's not mere, it's not it's in a simple way whether its expenditure is translating to infrastructure. The meaning I'm taking here is just translating, and utilization. Utilization, it may be because of the low infrastructure, because the thing is that in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, when we look at the infrastructure, actually we have primary, secondary and tertiary healthcare sectors. So primary healthcare sectors and secondary healthcare system are the first contact of point towards the people. So if we have more primary health centers, community health centers and all, so for example, if we have a nearby primary health centers, so if you feel a minor sickness, illness, so we just ran into that hospital and seek healthcare. Since a hospital is very nearby to our home or workplace, that we have that accessibility. So this primary health center, the main agenda of National Rural Health Mission is to constitute a primary health center in every district and every villages, so that people can access to healthcare. And there is a health report in Chile. Chile, I am taking an example because that's the country where they first, even before that, in 19th century, before the Second World War, that time itself they constitute and they maintained primary health centers, and they gave importance to primary health centers, because the importance of primary health center is that anywhere it will be spreaded, if it's spreaded across, that we will have that accessibility. So but for tertiary healthcare sector like medical colleges and AIMS, it will be very far from our states. For example, Palakkad is a district where we have a medical college, but there is no infrastructure there. We ran into Coimbatore, the Tamil Nadu, or into Thrissur, or people have to come to Kottayam or Thiruvananthapuram. So the problem of tertiary care is that is like the accessibility will not be there. And the other thing is that, so the accessibility and the availability and accessibility may be an issue of low utilization of healthcare. Moreover, the awareness part, health awareness part is also important. That is why Kerala having high morbidity and the Uttar Pradesh have low morbidity. So when we feel sick, we will approach and we will report that our sickness. So that is why that paradox, like a low morbidity and high mortality. But just opposite in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, they have low low morbidity and high mortality rate. So the health awareness is also a big factor, but maybe it will not come well, the health awareness part. I will incorporate that for the Viva. Thank you.
Aswthay, thank you. You have traveled a long way, actually, since and we have seen right from the beginning, and yeah, both in time and space, you traveled a long way, and as the director said, that it's your determination which really brought you here today and presenting this pre-submission seminar. You went for loss of pay. You went for everything that was possible from your end to finish this. Commendable. I only have a few suggestions so that you can preempt some of the questions in Viva. So whatever I'm going to say is in the light of that. First thing is, see, in your objective, you're writing it as the effect of intergovernmental transfers. So the moment you write it, what would one naturally expect is you're trying to look at a flypaper effect in the health sector. Okay. But That is not what you are doing. Your second in the decomposition exercise, your second component is what you are using as a proxy for transfers. That is the gross total expenditure divided by the GSDP. See, I think that would be a bit of a far-fetched, assumption to say that that represents the transfer component. Instead, I would say make a slight, change in the objective itself rather than writing intergovernmental transfers, because see, it could be, you can still argue it, say that for poor income states, much of the expenditure is met because, for example, Bihar, it only has 25% of own revenues. So much of it is coming through transfers. But for Kerala, Haryana, Maharashtra and all, we can't treat them like that, right? So I would not recommend you to use that particular component as a transfer component. Instead, you resort to your decomposition, but say that I'm basically trying to find out the determinants using a decomposition analysis. Okay, that is my first suggestion. Correct. Yes, sir. Yeah. No, she talked about it in the beginning, but the analysis did not feature that.
It didn't come in the analysis. That represents.
So then, since I understand the constraint, so you just recast the objective. That's my suggestion. And second thing, regarding the decomposition itself, there are some questions. I think it is better to write a section. Maybe when you are writing the empirical strategy, you write why you resorted to a decomposition exercise rather than a typical regression that everyone else would have done it. For here, maybe I will suggest one article that you write, read it and cite it, because there's an NBR working paper. It is titled like this: Decomposition Methods in Economics. Okay, so it discusses various range of decomposition methods that are available and the advantages and disadvantages of it. You can maybe use that to justify. Now, then about presentation of the results, say for example, Aswthay was asking whether does it add up to 100. Actually, you can represent the table that you have shown in terms of decomposition. So you have shown the growth rates, right? Instead of it, you just say how this change in growth rate is explained by different components, 3 components. So you just look at the percentage contribution of each of the component to change in the growth rate, so that it's easy for people to actually see which is largely explaining the change that you're observing on the left-hand side. Okay. So translating your numbers into percentages is all that it takes, nothing else. Then you try and see, since you brought into the next objective, the high focus and low focus states, I would suggest you bring that in the first objective itself. Otherwise, bringing it in the second objective, all of a sudden could pose some question. You travel with that focus, high focus, low focus category right from the beginning and say what is really happening in terms of there's a percentage change, how it is affecting on average in high focus states compared to the low focus states. And in one of the presentations, you actually made some detailed presentation on why do you call them high focused and why do you call them low focused and all. I'm sure it is there in the thesis, but suggestion is bring it into your first objective. And it all, again, it's not any additional work, it's just categorization of them and then presenting the numbers. That is one. And the other thing is chapter 1 and 2, the time frame, you can keep it constant because it is using state level data. For chapter 2, you just added 1 year, right? Yeah, so you keep the consistency so that you can simply avoid a question, right? Why there's no consistency in the time frame in the analysis. And then you also write why you are stopping at 2019. Because somebody can come and say, now the data is available up to 24, 25, and the thesis is submitted in 26. So you can avoid that, why you are, maybe you can use COVID or whatever possible explanations to defend your argument about time frame. Then within that, relating to George's comment, where you said that time frame division is made based on the change in the political. So that I would suggest do not make it. Okay. You never know what kind of people are going to read your thesis.
Yeah, you already have sufficient, reason for that. So why do you necessarily? Yeah.
There was a host which is following your street. That's the problem, which some of us know.
Don't try to attribute.
Yeah, but I think
to
it's lived out of this. It's an instantaneous response, not this.
Because the change in government, you are saying fine. At the union level, there's a change in government. At the union level, there's a change in government, but the subnational governments had their own, political affiliations over time. And your analysis is a subnational level, and health is majorly a state subject. So to, just say that we can avoid that particular controversial point that you are saying. Instead, you can, you are also saying you are using the Finance Commission, the 14th Finance Commission onwards. But I think that alone will not be sufficient. Maybe you can write a sentence as to why you think there can be a change because of the 14th Finance Commission. 14th Finance Commission recommendations did not do great things actually. It's, although one says that it is an increase from 32% to 42%, it is also one way to compensate because the plan grants have been, shifted here. But, if you want to make that, you anchor there, but, use a proper defense. That is, I think, first, these are the first points, points about first object. The second one, so you are talking about the health infrastructure index, and you mentioned at one point you are using a geometric mean. Then you also mentioned that I am giving more weights to the access point of view. So somewhere which sounded like you're using subjective weighting mechanism. So that actually in index preparation, subjective weighting mechanism creates problems. So just see in what way you can rationalize that. And when you have further decomposed that into health infrastructure, which is physical infrastructure and human capital infrastructure, that is where I think, see, when Aswthay was asking the component of capital versus revenue, we all know that the revenue expenditure is the largest share. And when you are computing the index, if you saw, the slightly higher weights were given to the physical infrastructure component. But expenditure is flowing through the revenue. That is where the manpower. So you have to slightly, think of how you can, defend that. Or you construct an overall index, which is not having any subjective weights assessment, and then decompose the overall index into a physical infrastructure versus the human capital part. And then you actually see why this expenditure is not translating. If the states are really building onto human capital or physical, so that components could sometimes explain, because you're saying that the expenditure is not leading to infrastructure assessment, right? So that I think a little bit more explanation or defense writing may be needed. I'm sure your guides will help there. And I don't want to comment more on that. The third part is where I have one suggestion with respect to your analysis. See, again, you are using illness as a variable, but you are using illness as a homogeneous thing. Say, for example, I'm right now having temperature, but I wouldn't go to a hospital, right? I just took Dolo and came. And so illness is not homogeneous, right? So could you also reflect why you have taken a homogeneous category, and just write it up? I'm not saying that you should. You just
the point is that what you are capturing, but you are not capturing. That's enough. And you should not tell even a particular reviewer to say no, you are not. So this binary
So and also probability of falling illness, and then the probability of approaching a hospital, you can do it as a joint determination also into a model. There are models to do that, but if time doesn't permit, don't worry about it. But one thing that I felt analysis could have had was inclusion of age. I did not see age as one of the explanatory variables in the regression. Is there any reason? Because age is an important component, especially when you're looking at Kerala. With a very high proportion of elderly population, the possibility of falling ill. So if you just put a curve also, age and the frequency of falling ill, you may have if not a linear relationship, at least a positive relationship. So you have to think about why age has been omitted. If time permits, that is the only thing that I would ask you to revisit and avoid that part. Okay. These are only minor suggestions. I'll stop here. Thank you.
Down. I think yeah, try to incorporate as much as I think. May I request the supervisors, if at all, to say the final words? Professor Dr. Zakaria, would you like to intervene? Because yeah.
Yes, sir.
I mean that the story is very coherent. But we are given that there are a lot of feedback given. These are all to improve the quality. Right. Go over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. No, actually, I'm very thankful for the comments that has been given to Aswthay, from Aswthay and Kiran and other student participants, and also from Suma. So I think that the comments are quite constructive, and there is a need to kind of take the cognizance of those comments. They are in very positive kind of say. So thank you very much for these comments, and well done, Aswthay, for the day. I would also like to acknowledge Anoop's contribution to this thesis. He has been a pillar of support for Aswthay. At many times I have seen, Anoop actively trying to support her in times of very difficult situations. So thank you, Anoop, for being there for Aswthay.
Yeah, I think very nice presentation, Aswthay. I think this is the best presentation I have seen. Okay, I think
that is the way it should be.
So I think yeah. So I think regarding the comments, I think most importantly for me or for us is that most of the comments are workable. Like we can work actually. I mean, these are not like our certain comments that it will take a lot of time, and we can actually within a short span of time, I think we can fix it. I think these are very minor. I mean, not even minor. I think we can fix it. And then I will tell that I would like to thank all the students and also my friends, basically Kiran, Suma, and Aswthay for giving very detailed comments. Second is that, as Zakaria was mentioning, that I think we need to thank two person. First of all, our Joseph sir. I think he has been he has been giving constant support, as well as of course Aswthay will have little bit. Also, he has a little bit like that the pressure cooker thing that sir keeps telling, right? So he was also what I say, like constructively giving the comments, and I think sir's comments have helped significantly in reshaping the presentation or the thesis, the structure of the thesis. I think we need to give the credit to our Joseph sir, Kajay sir, and also our DC member, our Anup. He has been very supportive to Aswthay, and he has been a constant source of inspiration. Yeah, and also of course Narayana sir, DN, right? Narayana sir. He was also very instrumental. He played an important role, but subsequently, as he got a regular supervisor, especially Zakaria. She has been primarily working with him, and yeah, so it is. Although it is also this own work, but it is also kind of like a collective work, and we thank all of you. And yeah, with this, I would conclude. Thank you.
Okay. I think, well, I think it's a nice presentation and everything went well. I think I agree with the supervisors that the comments given are very important, but they are because you will be possibly able to preempt so many of the reviewers' comments. And a reviewer, when I review a thesis, after writing 15 comments, then I can't say that I can't approve it. So when there are so many things, I tend to write the comments. Then I will be in a dilemma whether to come, whether what to do. So these kinds of all the suggestions that came through are actually within the overall thing. Within that, you can, as he said, you can easily incorporate. It's not very difficult. So that will improve the. That is actually what reduce the returns from the reviewer. There are certain obvious things. When you review, the reviewer feel irritated. So that, and again, the readability, that I'm sure readability and all, they will take care of all that. So all the best. Yeah, I think, thank you very much. I think, thank all of you for joining.